Hopefully everybody can see this. I'm hoping this is going to be a HarleyB.com video that everybody can comprehend on these TFR mopeds and the KINETIC moped. They're about the same thing. This is the older basic model. It takes the smaller clutch, and first of all, we're going to go over, I hope this thing's still shooting video. I hate to turn it. Yeah, it looks like it is. In order to replace one of these clutches, okay, you need to go with tools here. You need a deep well on this side, and I use an impact gun on the short bolt head side. I use an impact gun. You need to loosen those 3 bolts to replace the clutch. And then this is the exhaust bolt. And when you try to pull the clutch apart and all the pieces and everything, they will come out of here. You can just pull the clutch right off with the belt and everything. This one's going to need a belt. I'm on my way to go get a belt then, but I wanted to go over this little jewel right here. Uncle Dutch has the Red Devil clutch. Okay, these are 119. These are the clutch that actually belongs on these bikes. It's made by the factory. They're very hard to get a hold of and very uncooperative there in India. And the language barrier is atrocious. You need to take this bushing with my new clutch, and you need to use a deep well socket and a tap hammer. Sometimes this stator housing will come loose and it'll break the key. This shaft is keyed where the stator goes on. That's why a lot of people break them, is because of this bushing. This is the most crucial piece, and you can't get it anywhere. You can't buy it individually unless you buy them from me. They're $40. So don't lose your bushing. And the reason why you want to buy my clutch over the other clutches, some of the tools we use to remove the clutch and stuff, we use an impact. This is what happens with age, why when you buy all those pieces and you think you're going to do a cheap fix, it just needs shoes and it doesn't work. Well, this is what the new bushing looks like, and this is what a worn out bushing looks like. This is made to give the clutch clearance. You see? There's clearance. Because if you don't do that and give it that clearance, this is all worn out. It sits inside the hub. It's all worn out. It's no good. And that stator will walk around. And that's why you had this. Because that bushing was all worn out. There was nothing left of it. And then the clutch started hitting that, and it screwed the clutch all up. That's what you don't want. Okay? I fix a lot of things here. Like the Hondas. Our Honda's back together. I'm waiting for the turn signals and a few cosmetic pieces. There's one of my buddies there. That's Hobo. We just got him fixed. He's an outdoor cat. Doesn't care too much for humans except for me. It's all back together, new radiator, and then we found out it needs a fan. That's why you don't want to buy something from some half-assed mechanic. But if you remember that bike, it was all banged up, looked like a piece of shit. Now it's just about like brand new again. We did a lot of work on this bike, including master cylinder. $2,500, anybody wants it. YouTube, you can get a hold of me. It's a nice rebuild, really nice. We just put brakes on it. We're also waiting for a new brake rotor if we can get one. I'm hoping, if not, I'll send it to whoever buys it. It'll eventually get here. I have some connections for these old Hondas if you want to restore yours. You can bring it here, or you can call me. You can get parts without having to hunt all day and all night long. And you can get the decent parts instead of the cheap shit. And then last, with the HarleyB video, here's the pieces. We retooled this bike. It had a lot of broken pieces, missing pieces. I wanted to introduce you to a product. There's some idiot on YouTube harassing me. I'm a former aviation engineer. I'm nobody to harass. I know what I'm talking about. If you ever saw a mechanic strip a piece of your wiring in your car or your truck away to test the wire, and you're introducing corrosion to that cable right there when it's bared. This is the stuff that we use over a solder joint. You can use Allen Tinner's fluid, or you can use a plain, this is called a sterile. This is a sterile acetone. It's a very aggressive acetone. That's what they use in soldering things together. So I'm going to preach to you people to stop listening to idiots on YouTube. and listen to the people that worked on fighter jets, aircraft, Navy ships. We're not idiots. This is the type of work that an engineer turns out. It's perfect workmanship. Okay, it looks like something when it's done. It's not a screwed up piece of shit. It actually works. That's the first time that engine fired. We put that engine in on Tuesday. This bike was pretty screwed up. It should have went in the shit can. But there's not that many of these left. These are the Camaros and the Mustangs of tomorrow. There's not that many of these on the road anymore. They were a very dependable bike, but for the longest time, parts were harder than hell to get, especially kits for the engines. The only reason why I pulled the motor, even thought of doing it, was they're very simple actually to work on once you get all the hoses and everything out of your way and the wiring disconnected. It pops right out of the frame. The exhaust was the hardest thing. I had to really fight with the exhaust. And I eventually, around midnight on Tuesday, before I went to bed, I won the battle with the exhaust. Wednesday, I took it out and we took it down to shop, put the new rings in it, bored it a little bit. It's only 5,000 silver. I didn't want to go crazy with it, but that's why it sounds great. And that's the first time the engine turned over. I was waiting to get it out of the house so I didn't have to start it up inside. And we got rain then for the last couple of days. So in between putting the motor back in, I put some of the cosmetic pieces on, and we waiting for turn signals and a few little doodads to make this bike just about perfect. That's the type of workmanship I do. So those guys that you want to open your mouths to me there on the internet and YouTube, okay, there's most people praise me because I tell the truth about things and I'm not a half-assed joker. Stop trying to mislead people on YouTube about things to do. If you solder a wire, wipe it off with an aggressive acetone and then use that electrical tape. There's a lot of equipment that generates a lot of heat. It has a high amp draw. Military-wise, generators, different things. That generates heat if you have a loose connection. That's why guys tell you to solder the connection. Most of those guys are military. They were electrical engineers. They worked on the Navy ships or they worked around stuff. It's great in your camper. Your camper vibrates a lot. Motorcycles, cars, and trucks, they vibrate. You're not harming anything by soldering a wire and then putting a coating over the solder joint. So stop listening to assholes on YouTube. And you guys that want to threaten me, I don't know if you want to take a look at the size of me, but we'll go out there behind the barn or whatever, and we'll straighten it all out right behind that barn. Right when you get out of your truck, just make sure you got your medical insurance paid up. I don't know who some of you jokers think you are. One people, they praise me. The one woman that just bought my engine, and the other one up in New Hampshire, they were glad to get a product out of the box that worked instead of the half-assed Chinese junk and whatever the hell you other guys are hustling on there. But stop telling the people that know what they're doing and mislead me. My products are what I say they are. You can hear it. This stuff comes in here, it doesn't run, it's busted, it's broken, and you guys open your mouth or whatever, there it is. The proof's in the pudding. Also, this bike did not look like that cosmetically. It's now a perfect piece. So, in saying that, those TFR scooters, you only have a couple bolts. There's 3 engine bolts, and then there's that one there on the exhaust, and that whole engine slides back. The guys that want to know how to change a tire or a wheel, these bikes are very simple. These bikes faked Uncle Dutch out. You guys don't have to remove any of this. There's 2 bolts right here. You take this, you loosen this, your brake cable comes right up out of there, okay? 2 bolts there, and 2 bolts there, and that wheel will slide right out of the thing. You have to lift the bike up about 3 feet and kind of walk the wheel at it like this. You have to seesaw the wheel and it kind of walks out of there, and it goes back in there the same damn way. But for you guys that want performance parts for these kinetics and stuff, and you don't want a piece of shit carburetor, okay, I make the real McCoy, and I tell you how to make it work. I tell you how to defeat all the emissions crap that's on stuff. I make small engine videos that anybody wants them. They're 20 bucks. Some of it's 30 bucks. Depends on how great you want to go. And I introduce you all my products and stuff in the video.